Hi, I'm Bert Nuxbeimer from macrobeat.co.uk. Not a real busy week in terms of markets. The markets were a little bit at standstill, obviously, with the inauguration of President Biden on January 20. The market has always been a little bit nervous whether or not we're going to see any sort of unrest in the streets in the US, given what happened on January 6. But obviously, that event passed by really without any hiccup. We had the BOJ meeting, the ECB meeting yesterday. That didn't really produce anything, not that we really did expect much out there anyway. A little bit more important or more interesting, I shall say, has been the hearing, the confirmation hearing for incoming Treasury Secretary Yellen. Obviously, we know her very well from being the chair from the Federal Reserve. I think the key takeaway for me has been that the new administration seems to be continuing the policy on China and taking over more or less everything from the Trump administration. Probably the only thing that's going to be changing is the sort of wording and the nicer chat. But it seems the policy on China is unchanged. So everyone did really hope that Mr. Biden is going to be cozying up to the Chinese, or a lot of the Trump administration things going to be reversed very quickly. May have to think again. It's not going to happen really. In terms of the markets, like I said, very little theme out there. The market really doesn't know what to do. We kind of wait for the first few things from the new administration in the US. But generally, really, COVID seems to be getting a little bit more press again. But all in all, the themes in the market are still very thin. It's still early in the year, even though it feels already be quite deep into the new year already. But reality is very rangy markets. The first slide I have for you today is the euro dollar. Just as we sort of keeping an eye on the dollar, we had this sort of setback from the 123.50 highs. This 120.60 area held quite well for the last few days, and as we see, kind of tried to sort of grind back up again. But I would still think the dollar, all in all, looks a little bit better. I think on policy terms, data-wise, it still looks like the European data has peaked somewhat, while the US is looking quite strong. So I would think that this sort of 122.50 area should really hold for now. I don't expect the euro to go back to the highs at this point in time. I would rather think we can start to trend a little bit lower in the next few weeks. On the next chart, something new for once, Aussie Canada. This has been a massive trade out there, and the Canadian dollar has underperformed really ever since last March. I think with the sort of China story kind of well known now, and maybe again the usual doubts about the real Chinese data versus a Bank of Canada that we had this week, which refused to cut rates further. A few hawkish elements, not hawkish as in very hawkish, but not as dovish as we might have thought. I think this could be a trend that is changing. I could see Canada starting to try and outperform the Aussie story. Given this is like a 25-30% move with a lot of real money long Aussie Canada, I really do feel Aussie Canada is turning and could actually see a nice 4-5% move on the downside. Next chart, this is Euro Aussie. Staying with the Aussie theme here, really think the Aussie has had a tremendous 2020 as of obviously March. And I just think the sort of entire Aussie story might just start to get a little bit tired. I'm looking for Euro Aussie to start to bottom out here and start to get back to the 160, 165 area. This is more an Aussie view than it is a Euro view, I have to say. The next chart, we have Bitcoin. Again, not that I talk a lot about Bitcoin, not that I trade Bitcoin, but I think there was something in the Yellen testimony where he talked about Bitcoin, looking into Bitcoin, feeling that this is more sort of, risk of terrorist money and other dodgy money. That really seems to have created quite a setback in Bitcoin, probably out of worries whether or not the Biden administration is looking into Bitcoin as a policy tool. But we have to wait and see. Definitely a very clear setback there. Last but not least, for once, the S&P 500 rather than the Dow. We keep sneaking higher on this sort of speed line up there. It's 3,848. There's really not much in store. I think we're going to stay rangy in equities for a while. Maybe a small bias towards topping out, but nothing really serious. Thank you very much indeed. Have a good week. Thank you. Bye-bye.